And good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 6th episode of H2MTV. That is Home to Micro TV. I am your host and content wizard, Bob Blake. And today on our little show, we will be going into a little bit of what we do, our plan for creating recipes, how we brew them, what we are looking at for the brewery in terms of strategy, and then a little bit into my own experiences. I've recently upgraded into becoming an actual brewer, other than just a hack who uses syrup. So just to start us off, what we're looking at is going with Belgian beers. And this has been partly inspired by our intrepid explorer, Stuart Blake, and his adventures and romps around the beautiful country of Belgium, exploring their wondrous collection of beers that they have on tap. As well, we are also looking at, from just a standpoint of how you go to the beer store, wherever you might, a special craft beer store, your general liquor store, whatever, what have you. If you're in PA, your beer distributor, and right,
True.
and
Cases, baby.
you find a lot of just IPAs pumped out by breweries. Some of them are
We need
really
more
average.
hops,
Some of
Bob.
them are
We
really
need more
good. Yeah,
hops in
it's
it.
like brewers are just like, okay, what are we gonna make a beer? Okay, I have an idea. Let's take a beer and put more hops. No, that's not enough hops. Put more hops. Okay, now take those hops and add more hops.
But
And
don't
that's like
forget my hops.
90% of craft beers that we see right now. That's a rough estimate. So we're looking at this just to kind of give a little bit of a special flavor, kind of go a route of, I believe, River Horse up near where Brandon is, and some of those breweries that, kind of specialize in some of those almost Belgian styles. We really enjoy them. We think they're tasty, and I think that there's still a growing market for it here in the U.S. So,
Allagash as well. Allagash,
Yes.
that's in Maine.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a great one.
Yeah.
The thing is, like,
There's a bunch dispersed, but not
yeah,
not enough.
we,
I need more
we,
Belgian.
we, we are by no means the first people to tackle doing Belgian ales in the U.S. But I think it takes, like, the progression of someone that drinks beer is they start out with really crappy beer. Like, you're drinking whatever, like, you're drinking glorified, like, just water with, corn in it when you start out. And that's probably early college or late high school or early high school. I don't know. And
We don't condone underage drinking, by the way. We're just
Yes.
No, not at all.
things
Just being
happen.
practical. And then you have, like, your first really good beer. You have your first really good IPA, and you're like, oh my god, it's delicious. But as your taste buds evolve and as the things kind of move forward, you realize, like, oh my god, like, there's more, like, this different styles per region of the world, that the beer that they create there, it has very drastically different tastes. And one thing that we spoke about when Stu came back and his, 2 trips over the last 2 or 3 months, was that the beers there are so simplistic and yet complex in flavor profile that it's amazing. Like, that you're drinking this style, but there's so many depths of flavors to it, which we all both have enjoyed and found intriguing, that a beer could have, such simplicity but complexity at the same time, which is a huge dichotomy. Like, it's definitely pulling at different ends.
You're not making any sense, Brandon.
I'm saying, hey, it's the 5th one of these. So,
Yeah.
I'm saying the Belgian beers are known to be simplistically complex. And Stu's obviously had more of it from the source, but I don't know.
Yeah, so I'll add to that, and I would agree. So, in Belgian styles, there's a lot of different styles under, like, the Belgian umbrella, just like there are a lot of different styles underneath the American and German umbrellas, and so on. But, like, a lot of what Belgians do is, like, they're kind of simplistic more on the hop side, which is not a bad thing. It's more there to, like, accentuate the other stuff's going on in the beer. Like, the yeast is definitely one of those characteristics that people tend to associate with Belgian styles, like kind of the phenolic, like fruity, estery sort of, like, aromas going on there. And then there's also a lot of malt complexity. So the quality of the malts and the different types you use and the kind of the ratios that go into each batch and how that varies from style to style, from kind of like the single, double like the Abbey sort of Trappist style of beers versus more like the Saisons or Wits or things like that. So really, like, we kind of like, if you work in the corporate world, you probably heard the often overused term, you don't want to boil the ocean, and that's kind of what we want to do here. We kind of just want to pick like a niche, like this is like something that we're passionate about. These are beers that we enjoy drinking and that we're going to enjoy making, not only for ourselves but everyone else to drink. And that's kind of where we want to go. It's not to say this is what we're going to do for all the time, but this is what we're passionate about and kind of what we want to start brewing. So we want to start coming up with these recipes and developing them, finding the right flavors, the right yeast that we like, some, getting the right supply from, places that make some good grains and, hops and all that stuff, just so we're ready to hit the ground running when we actually do open the brewery. And then from there, I see it being like an evolution where we're start doing some fusion. Like there's a lot of kind of like triple IPA sort of styles in the U.S., like Lafrique and Cali Belgique from Stone and Green Flash, respectively. I guess backward, respectively, the way I listed it out there. But I think there's a whole world that you can kind of get into once you kind of like master that Belgian world. And I was really inspired, and we've started the recipe creation process that we'll go into. But I think first I kind of want to hear what Bob and Brandon are drinking on right now.
Brandon, I think that you had a homebrew, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have. So the thing is, it is actually really interesting since my first beer, after I finished my second half marathon, stay with me on this one. After I finished my second half marathon in October, I have not bought beer other than with dinner out. Like, I haven't. Like, I haven't brought a six-pack or anything home because I've had, like, gallons of, like, it just defeats the purpose to buy beer.
Well, that's what you got to do, man. Like, cause if you got to make more beer, you got to drink it. So it's either you or other people, and you have 5 gallons.
Yeah. So I mean, what was that about? I didn't catch that.
Oh, it was on Stuart's point. On other people or yourself, and I'm saying both.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't buy beer anymore. If anything, I'll buy whiskey or something, just, to have something different. But this was inspired from that International Stout Day that we had in October, early November.
Oh, yeah.
It was, early November. Yeah.
Yeah, early November.
I had a stout. I had like when you like think about something, you got a taste for it. You think about it, and you can like taste it in your taste buds. That's what was happening to me with these stouts. So I was like, I need to brew. It was like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, and on Sunday I brewed one. So I'm drinking a stout, oatmeal stout. It's delicious. 5 weeks in the carboy, came out perfect.
What's your description on it?
Malty.
Can you a little bit more than that, Brandon?
It's smooth. It's smooth. Definitely really. Once you taste it, once you get past in the keg on Sunday, so the carbonation's still coming through on it, it actually does look pretty good for 2 or 3 days in. But you can definitely get that oatmeal with it, which is pretty interesting, and I'm pretty sure I have some chocolate in there. I don't remember the exact grain bill, but you can definitely tell that it is a stout. It's heavy. It's got some of that smooth oatmeal on the back end. What would be interesting is next time if I ramp up some hops on it, just to see what comes through with it. Not that, we started this conversation with add more hops, or have something that's maybe a little fruitier. I don't know. I feel like this is so versatile that you can play around with it really well.
Yeah. Well, that's the fun part about brewing, right? It's like the experiment. Like, what else can I add to this to change the flavor profile? Yeah, and we're still gonna be adding hops to beers. I mean,
there are going to be some hoppy beers coming out. Don't get us wrong. I think that all of us agree that we love our hops. I don't want to set that tone that we don't like hops and aren't supporters of hoppy beers. It's just from that differentiating factor. Let's just set ourselves apart. We don't want to just be another brewery making, hoppy IPAs.
Yeah, exactly.
Hops with a taste of green.
Expanding the craft brew landscape. Well, that's pretty cool. What ABV did it come in at?
I think I'll have to check. I wrote it outside. I don't know. I think it was around 5.
Solid for nice oatmeal stout.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Nice.
More malty sweetness, not too roasty, really. Or at least that's how I like my
You
oatmeals.
could definitely tell that if you added some sort of complementary, like something that we remember when we did our candy tasting episode, something complementary to a stout, and that whether it be like, I feel like coffee's overdone, but like maybe like if you could get like a peanut extract or something to throw in the boil, like something that would like essentially turn this into like a Reese's would be awesome. Or really just go with like the depth on it and just like bombard it with malted sweetness. I don't know.
Do you
But
have
it's
to
good.
put like a warning label on a beer if you use like tree nuts? Saying like warning contains peanuts, tree nuts, something like that?
Probably, right? They would be
I mean, you want to be safe.
I think if peanuts in the name, hopefully no one's gonna like buy it and like.
I don't know. I don't know.
Whatever.
What are you drinking, Stu?
Okay. Actually, well, so I'm not drinking a homebrew today. I mean, I should be because I gotta kill my pumpkin so I can keg my wheat. But I'm actually doing a little research. So I'm drinking a brown called Lumber Buster from you can see nice brown there, out of Strike Brewing in San Jose, California, right down the street from where I live. So I'm doing a little recon here. More information on that to come out later this weekend and next week. There should be some content around this and another local brewery, Santa Clara Valley Brewing Company. So, just trying some of their stuff out. This one's really good. It's basically what I look for in a brown. It's right at 4.8% alcohol by volume. Not too hoppy, at 30 IBUs. I mean, really more of like kind of a malty, nutty, sort of caramely base, not too roasty or bitter at the end. Like some browns I've had, and some will add like some hops, but like overly bitter and not more on like the aroma flavor profile. This is mainly like just kind of a malt bomb, which is kind of what I like when I go for a brown. And on a cool night like tonight, it's suiting me well.
Good
Bob,
stuff.
what do you?
Yes.
What
Wait,
hold
sorry.
on, Bob. Stu, what's a cold night in California, please? Please.
It's like 58 degrees Fahrenheit.
Real cold.
Yeah, no, well,
Yeah,
this
dude,
week's actually got a lot warmer. So like it was 70 today, but like last week it was chilling in the 50s. And it was. I had to wear sweatshirts.
Can you see your breath when you go? Can you see your breath when you go outside? Because I can see my breath when I go outside.
There. Well, it was like 45 in the morning.
So
That's right. So, I survived. Don't worry, you guys. I have mittens. I keep my hands cold. All my digits are still intact. No frostbite. Getting by.
down here we're having some classic Texas weather right now. It went up this past week. It's been in the low 70s all week. Today was about 76. Don't think it's getting below. It's getting down to like 62 tonight, maybe, and another sunny and 76 day tomorrow.
All right, Bob, bundle up. I don't want you catching a cold.
Yeah, I wore a sweater to work today by accident. I realized what a huge mistake it was when I walked back out to my car. Okay, so I am drinking a tropical pale ale. Now, this is a collaboration between Boulevard and Cigar City Brewing, and it's tasty. It's collaboration at number 5, tropical pale ale. I mean, they're right on the head with the name.
You know what type of hops they're using
fruity.
in there?
I'd like to know. Hey, here we go. Citra, Mosaic, Azaka, and Lemon Drop. I'm not as familiar with Azaka and Lemon Drop, so I'll have to go look that up. But you definitely get a lot of those like nice citrus flavors, some of that kind of like orange, almost mango with the Mosaic. That's become one of my favorite hops. Is that definitely Mosaic? But you definitely get kind of that orangey, almost mango-y.
Yeah, fruity.
Yeah, dude. Like
really cool fruits and really big fruit. I almost taste a little bit of pineapple too. I mean, it's really one of those. It's really a beer made for those hops. as I was just talking about, those hoppy IPAs. But this is an interesting one. It's one worth checking out.
Cool. Like, do you get much of like as far as the body on it is mainly like, does it seem like it's like mainly like Pilsner? Like it's kind of very dry, and this is more of like a hop canvas, or is it you're getting like kind of some malt in there to complement the hops?
It's not like it's too light of a body.
Yeah.
It's not like it doesn't exist, but it's. I have a hard time pinning down what like a malt profile would be for the beer.
Yeah,
just because I think
hard.
it definitely did go like lighter on that side, just because the hops really like sing out, is what I would say. But it still like has a good texture. It's almost a little not sticky, but
Is that
no, not cloying like you would get like with a really syrupy hoppy beer, but still has that little bit of like
dryness.
Sweet.
You're gonna finish that whole thing by the time you're done describing it.
I know. All right, I'm gonna shut up now and pass it off to Think Stu. Let's go into the recipe creation.
Yeah. Well, actually, I just want to make one more comment on the lemon drop. If you guys ever find that at your store, let me know, because Stone uses that in their delicious IPA, and I think it's delicious, obviously. But yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we talked about kind of what we want to do as far as our direction of the recipes that we're going. So the idea is for us to try as many out as we can, and I can't brew every day. I only have so many carboys, so many people I can technically serve to or drink my beer, and so much I can drink myself. So it's going to be a collaborative effort. So we're all kind of talking to each other as far as what we want to taste, flavor profile along these different styles, and obviously there's kind of like clear standards that you want to hit when you're going Belgian. So you kind of want to hit the double, the triple. I'd like to do a quad, make something nice and chocolatey and dark fruits and like really big and boisterous that maybe down the road you can throw in a barrel or something. And then you get the saison, you get the wit, kind of like all those styles, like the classics. So the idea is to figure out what do we like in terms of like the style of grains, like the different ratios that we put out. And I think in the yeast, like, is pretty a high priority there. So that's kind of what we've been focusing on for our first recipe, which has been our double. So I put together basically the exact same recipe, same grain bill, hop additions, which is pretty standard as far as like the double style, just going with like sauce for a lot of the flavoring and bittering, and then some Styrian Golding there at the end for some aroma. And then, basically 2-row for the base, a little aromatic in there to really get some of that like malt profile popping out on the aromatics, just like the malt says in its name, and then a few other sprinklings in there as well. But yeah, so the idea is the independent variable on this particular beer is the yeast. So I'm going with just straight monastery yeast, and each of us is doing the same recipe, different type of yeast. We're going to ship it out to each other. Ship out to a few competitions, get some third-party feedback, but hopefully culminating in a pretty fun tasting video of all of us trying each other's beers, and that's kind of what we want to bring to you. So we're doing research, we're figuring out what we want to do, but then we also want to make it fun for everyone kind of viewing at home, that like kind of see it through the process. It's like, okay, this is Stu brewing his, Bob brewing his, Brandon brewing his, and then at the end of like a month or month and a half, we all have bottles of each other's recipes in our hands, and we get to either say great job or go back and try again, or like, oh man, this yeast is awesome. It's pretty good in this beer, but I think it would go better on the saison, or play a little bit nicer with like some of the more light malts, or like this would really stand up to a bigger beer, things like that. So it's not only to see what works in that recipe, but hopefully parlay that into like what would work in some other styles or recipes within that Belgian umbrella. So that's sort of our strategy there, and so I have my Belgian done. It's been fermenting for a couple weeks, ready to transfer it to the secondary and let it chill for another couple weeks in condition before putting it in some bottles and in the keg. And I know Bob just had his first all grain. Welcome to the club brewing experience. Yeah, let's hear a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, it was actually I had a conversation with the guy at the homebrew store about how to approach, and really his recommendation other than trying to brew in a bag or any of those kind of ways around having a mash tun is it's going to be cheaper and easier just to make the mash tun. So he happened to have a extra igloo cooler in back of his shop that he had just picked up a couple weeks prior to my visit. He said, well, I'll just pick this up. It wasn't really clean or anything, but I was like, so it'll come in handy for someone, so it did. And he let it off his hands for, $15 or so. Just made it there for me in the shop. I worked with him, got the false bottom, all the little accoutrements, took back, and went at making my first all-grain batch, and it went pretty well. I was really happy. I, took some of your advice too. Got the water a little hotter than the 150 that you want to mash at. So when I ended up pouring it in, the mash temp was right at about 151, 152.
Smart.
And then I, covered it all up, put the towels on. When I checked it again, it was right at the same temperature that I had put it in as, and transferred that. It was an interesting process. It felt much more like brewing beer than just kind of steeping the grains in a bag and then adding some syrup just to beef it up. I learned
they
some
retain
things.
heat well too. The igloos retain heat really well.
I was impressed.
Especially if you add some like a little bit of boiling water in the bottom, maybe like while your water's heating up before you add the grains, if you add it to the igloo, it gets the igloo warmer, so when you drop it in, it doesn't.
That's not a bad technique. I like that.
Yeah. That is a good technique, just to like add a little strike water at the beginning. Like as you're like heating up your water for the mash, just to like get the igloo cooler like heating up, and then you can add the mash water in. And where I got that 160, it's like it's a beersmith. I mean, you pretty much just put in like the grains. You say what you want to mash at, and then so it knows like the volume of the water that you're putting in, knows how much grains you're putting in, and then it says you want it to be exactly at this temperature you put in. So I'll add those to the recipes. I should have put it in there for you guys, but yeah. So 160. So Brandon, when you do this, you want to mash in at 160, and it should end up around 150.
Yeah. And especially when I found out that my cooler is like 10 or 12 degrees higher I need to be on my water before I add it to the grains, which sit around a room temperature like 68 to 70 degrees in my apartment. So adding that to the cooler, I get a differential of about 10 to 12 degrees between my boiling water to when the grains hit the cooler and the water all come together in the mash. So 160, if the mash is 150, that sounds about right. 160 to 162 should do the trick. But sweet, Bob, go on. Sorry, I completely added a little knowledge bomb there, but go on.
I mean, things went pretty much like normal. It took me a little while because I was like, I need to heat up the sparge water, and I don't have, two kettles that I can just have at the same time. So I had siphoned the original beer out of the mash into just my extra bucket was the solution, the bottling bucket. Then I siphoned that into the brew kettle after I added the sparge. So it was a little bit of a workaround, but it worked.
I could just imagine you just like siphoning off into like coffee cups, like
anything.
Like,
I have like every
stand.
pot that's in my every beer glass to my name is now filled with wort.
They're just like, don't touch that. Someone comes over to like dump it out to fill it up. No, don't touch that.
Right, and I learned that grain stays hot for a while after you take the sparge water out, and it also likes to get all over your kitchen floor. But fortunately, there was a good 60 minutes between the first hop edition and the second one, so there's plenty of time to clean up any mishaps that may or may not have happened.
Although we can't prove it. No one will know.
No, it's all just hypothetical situations.
Nice.
But yeah, no, it came out. Gravity, I hit 1.058 for the OG. It's sitting happily. Fermentation really started right on schedule. Pretty vigorous too.
Good.
The Belgian yeast is a lively one. It's definitely a lively one.
Yeah, it's like the Belgian strong ale yeast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you went for that one. Yeah, I mean, so should work pretty well. Excited to try it out.
Sweet, yeah, no.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah.
I'm thinking of doing it this weekend. I'm probably gonna get to it this weekend.
Nice.
What was the grain bill on? We obviously have it passed around, but how many pounds on the grain bill for a 5-gallon batch?
It was around 10.5, I think.
Okay.
I think was about the total. And then there was the pound of like turbinado, like unrefined sugar, as well, just to give a little boost.
Got ya.
Grain bill, I think only.
Oh, just Stu cut out.
No, I think when he went to go check his sheet, it paused or something. But
yeah, his face looks pretty still right now.
Wait,
All right.
am I not here anymore?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, you're back.
Stu, there you go. You're moving. So what? Let's see if you can hear us. Stu, can you hear us?
Earth to Stu.
I guess we'll go on without him.
Okay.
Am I still here? Do you hear
Shoulder
me?
down. Warrior down.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yep.
Yep.
Just go back to the window with, yeah, there you go. I think if you went to go check out the sheet, it stopped. But so what's the fermentation time on that one, Bob?
Fermentation, 2 weeks, and then it looks like Stu said to cold crash it and store it for another 2 to 4.
Are you gonna cold crash it?
I am figuring out how I can. I don't have an extra fridge that I could just shove a carboy into, a 6.5-gallon carboy. I mean, I can. So if I want to like go without food, I can just like gut my fridge, cool it down a little bit, and just stick it in there.
Someone comes over, you're just like, don't touch that milk carton.
Yeah.
Just do not touch the milk carton.
I mean, but really, who needs to eat when you have beer, right?
Yeah, it's a meal in and of itself. That
Right.
that many pounds of grain can feed you for a month.
I mean, beer is basically liquid bread.
Yeah, exactly.
You just like have a tub of butter that you eat alongside it, and that's it's like
exactly.
Day's meal.
Instead of parsley, you have hops.
Should have.
And
I preferred you when you weren't. I preferred you when you were frozen and silent.
Yeah, so I don't know what was happening because I was talking and I saw like my volume go up and down, and then like I could see you, I could see me, but you're like, so I don't know. I just switched off my computer. I guess something went wrong, but sorry, I came back and reawakened for you, Bob.
Ruined the party.
Yeah, I know. You guys are having fun. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah. Sweet. So I know we spoke about Belgium. We spoke about kind of our approach to this. Going forward, I mean, we spoke about how there's simple and yet complex, which is really something that Bob's still trying to get his head around, with just making me sound like a bumbling idiot. But one thing that we want to do as well is, we felt like when we were discussing styles of what to go with, we felt like Belgians had this level set style that no one's really played. Like, people are too proud of the style itself to really go boundary pushing on it, like Dogfish Head would, where they're just adding crazy things to it and going crazy. And
very apt description of Dogfish Head.
They do. They're like, all right, well, people usually boil for 60 minutes. We're going to go for 90. we're
and
gonna go
then
for
an hour,
100. Yeah.
120.
And then we're gonna go for 120.
We're
So
gonna go to Egypt and capture wild yeast from Egypt to make our beer and bring it back to the U.S. and put it in our beer.
yeah. So I guess that
I
does
love
define it. So what we're gonna do and what we're thinking of doing is we're gonna use that Belgium style as in kind of the base leveled infrastructure for it, and then on top of it add all these different other variables that could add, whether it be fruity esters or yeast is something. Once we find the right one, we're kind of going to stay with maybe 2 or 3 different ones per the styles. But we really want to push the limits with this and see where this goes. So maybe we have a triple that's super malty and it's a traditional triple, but like adding something crazy to it. Just because it has that great base level that from there we can take it to the next level and try to give something. Because that really at the nano to micro level, that's what people are doing is like, if you want beer that just tastes like beer, you can find that anywhere. But if you want something really unique and tasteful, it's people like us and people that are in the market like us that are really pushing the limits on it. I think that's what we want to do with this style.
And I think on the nano level too, when you're making such small batches and you're making so many consistently, and each one can be different, there's a lot of room for experimentation and being able to serve a beer. If one goes south, then you're losing a lot less than if you have a full scale production where you're distributing this beer, and you could be losing tens of thousands of dollars on just one batch going bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Stu, your thoughts on the tasting of Belgians and kind of pushing it? Because you're the one that's really been to the motherland and have tried.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I mean that's the cool thing about Belgians. Because I mean, over there they're starting to push the hop boundaries a little bit because they see what's going on in America and they're trying to adapt some of our styles here in the States to what they're doing Belgians, and things really haven't. From what I tasted, there's not a whole lot that's really working necessarily, but they're still figuring it out, which is kind of fun. But I think us being Americans, we can kind of fuddle our way through the Belgian styles, maybe not doing it so classically, but in a way that's tasty to our palates and that works for us, and then we can kind of put an American twist on it, or even go to another country or see what they're doing and see what works. But another thing that really excites me in kind of the world of Belgians is sours as well. And what kind of wild yeast fermentation and kind of bottle conditioning and all those sort of stuff, extra kind of fun techniques you can use to kind of spruce up a beer. So you can have one that's kind of a base beer, but then for example Orval is one of the Trappist styles, and they're unique. It's almost a mix between a saison, a triple, and a wild ale. They'll add lacto for bottle conditioning. It's brewed with ale and lager yeast. It's pretty a unique beer in its own right. So there's a lot of things that we can do, I think, on our level. Once we kind of get the base beers, we're developing our recipes, and once we have those, we hit the ground running with that. But then we just kind of tweak them here or there depending on flavors that we be inspired by, whether it's another brewery or some food that we tasted or something that we see on TV or whatever whatever it is. So for me, that's what makes it really exciting, and why the recipe creation right now is so important.
And what's cool about that too is that the customers of our place are going to be like, hey, these guys are always pushing it. They have great beers. I think just about everyone now has either tried something of a Belgian style or had some influence of it at some point in time. If you've been drinking beer for 4 or 5 years, you've tried it, maybe inadvertently. But being able to be the place where those guys are pushing it to see what they can do and try to make the best thing. And every time I come in, I know I'm going to have something different because they're always cycling through. They're always trying to see what works. And what's great about that too is, like Bob said, if a big commercial brewery screws up on, hundreds of barrels of fermenters, that's probably hundreds of thousands of dollars at all said and done. What we're trying to do with this experimentation is by the end of a year and a half, 2 years, we can say, these beers sold really well. This style tastes great. So when we try to go to that next level, we can go with, hey man, like these are the ones we're going with. We're trying to make it work with these. And we know that people want these, which will be great because we'll always be able to experiment on that nano level, but then be able to kind of bump it to the next level and say, you know, these are the ones that we want a lot of people to have in their hands on the weekend.
Good.
Or the weekday.
Weeknight, yeah. Well, unless it's a day off, you know, lunch beer or something, you know, can help aid some creativity for the afternoon. I'm always one for the lunch beer, but so whatever. I'm not gonna tell you guys how to live your life, but yeah.
I'm right there with you, Stu. No worries here.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree. I think I'm really looking forward to it, and yeah, no, I'm looking at doing another one this weekend. I think we're going with the saison, so I'm still in the works of developing the recipe for that, but keep on the lookout for that. So yeah, I should be posting stuff this weekend, and be working on the second recipe. But hopefully, early in the next year, we're all tasting each other's double, which I'm thoroughly looking forward to.
You should for the people watching, we should put those recipes on Facebook and Twitter, and we should just put them on all the outlets. It's like, hey, if you want it, you know, whatever. If you want to brew it, brew it.
Yeah. If you want to brew it, or you want to change something up, and like, you know, say, hey, I'm gonna try with this yeast, or like, you know, give feedback on it. Be like, hey, have you tried this? You know, certainly. And so I'll be doing that. I want to make the recipes available, and you know, see what everyone thinks. So that's definitely something that's that we should be doing.
Sweet.
Cool, guys.
Guys, do we have
anything
anything else for our lovely audience?
I think this is for me. Any other parting thoughts?
No, man. Well, I'm happy that you got in the all grain train, Bob.
I am too.
I'm also happy. I don't know if I should disclose this information, but I'm looking forward to your adventure here to California.
Yes, I suppose as
some collaboration. So I'm looking forward to double brew days, and you know, weekend just like brew projects and all that stuff.
Really be able to.
So if you probably just make it through with one more brew with your like one kettle setup, and then you'll be able to use a little bit, and then I'll be able to use your kettle as an extra brew kettle, which is
what he really wanted.
I think even what I'm most excited for is the boil that I get on my stovetop grill is underwhelming at best. So
propane.
Yeah, so that propane, that nice propane burner, I think is going to be a big upgrade as well. I mean, I've used one before. When I was in Cincinnati, I went to a brew out with the local homebrew shop, and we used the propane, and it's just so much better.
And the level up from that is electric. And that's actually what I've been looking at for our early equipment, which I'm sure we'll get to an episode on. But when you look at electric next to propane, propane has like a 75% waste on energy, because you know, there's so much of the heat going outward from where it's supposed to be, where electric has that source right underneath, and it kind of gets it right to the point, which for us, I'd rather spend a little more upfront to be able to have electric. And so that operational cost of, you know, going through every single day brewing what's going to look like what looks like twice a day for the foreseeable future, would really save costs and be more efficient for us.
Most definitely, and that's going to be a good topic for a future episode too. Is once we can hammer out some of the plans for what we want to invest in terms of equipment, that's going to be something that I explore and share with you guys. But otherwise, I think it's going to be early February. Moving out, packing up here from Houston, Texas. It'll be nice because I'm escaping before the heat of the summer comes, so I can keep that nice level kind of 70-degree days. Although it will get colder here before I leave. It gets chilly, like 40s, during night times.
Oh man, let me play a song. The world's smallest violin.
All right, guys.
All right, Bob, you ready to sign us off here?
Yes, thank you for joining us on our 6th episode of H2MTV. That is Home to Micro TV. And today, just to recap, we went through a little bit of our recipe targeting the Belgian beers, steering away from just being another hoppy IPA type brewery. Not that there's anything wrong with hoppy IPAs. We love them, truly.
Do you enjoy them?
I'm drinking one right now. And upgrade to all grain. Touched a little bit about, everything. Brandon has some home brews. I'll have a new home brew in a future episode. I think, if not this next week, then the week after, the coffee porter will be ready to drink. And I did something interesting where I added different amounts of coffees to the different beers to just test out the different levels of that, find the ideal amount of Turkish coffee for a beer. And otherwise, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Cheers, folks.
Cheers, dudes.
Cheers.
Good night.